For those of us living in Florida, knowing how to manage your yard can be overwhelming. Well, we're here to help. Tom Wichman from the University of Florida's Florida Friendly Landscaping Program shares his DIY tips for helping you manage your Florida yard.
One of my favorite weekend activities is to go to a garden center and pick out some new plants to add to my landscape. And probably you're a lot like me and do the same thing. I want to challenge you a little bit to go to the garden center with an intentional plan. Because oftentimes we go and we buy just what looks good and what we find to be pretty. But let's think about actually going in and making sure we're choosing the right plant for the right place. So let's think about bringing home only quality plants. If you're looking at a tree, try and get one with a strong, straight central leader. If you're looking at a shrub, try and get shrubs with, well-proportioned branches and that fill out the pot. For annuals or perennials, try not to get something that's too large for the container, and maybe something that doesn't have too many flowers open yet, because that way it'll establish quicker for you. Now, there's lots of resources to help you as well. You've got the folks at the garden centers to help. There's a lot of good knowledge there. Certainly the Cooperative Extension Office, who've got an office in every county of the state that can help as well. And the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program has an app, and you can get that at fflplantguide.com. Set yourself up for success by choosing only quality plants from the garden center. You ever want to give your landscape a pop of color, something that makes people want to stare? Well, you can do that with bedding plants. Bedding plants are nothing more than annuals and perennials that we'll put in small focused areas of the landscape, those high impact areas, maybe near the front door, near the mailbox, or other high visibility areas. And if you can keep those focused into small areas, they won't work you to death and cost a lot. So when you are selecting plants, try and make sure that they're not too large for the container and maybe aren't in full bloom yet, but have lots of nice buds and good growth potential. When you get those plants home, try and get them in the ground quickly so that they don't sit there and degrade while waiting to be planted. To prepare that area to be planted, it's really simple. You need to clean it. Once the bed is cleared out, you want to loosen the soil a little bit and then work in some organic matter, things like peat moss or composted manure. All these products work really well and they'll help hold nutrients and moisture. Next, we want to place our plants out and making sure that they have plenty of room to grow. Then we go ahead and get them out of the containers, put them into the ground, and making sure that they're planted at the right depth. Once they're in the ground, if you choose, you can add a controlled release fertilizer. This will reduce your work and keep the plants healthy and happy. I like to top dress with some mulch afterwards. It gives it that finishing touch. A nice ground pine bark works very well. And then you're going to water it all in and keep it moist while those plants are getting established. I always like to make sure that we're grooming our plants, so I like to deadhead them, removing old blooms. That'll keep new blooms coming on, and just making sure that they look their best. With just a little bit of work, these annuals and perennials will give your landscape that wow factor. Thinking about fertilizing appropriately, the first question we should ask ourselves is, do we need to fertilize at all? If we do, there's some ways we can calculate that and try and figure out whether that's necessary. I recommend starting with a soil test. This is a great place to start. Gives you some baseline data. You'll find out the pH, you'll find out a lot of the nutrients that are there, and it's always a good practice to do. You also want to be aware of your water source. If you have reclaimed water, there's a lot of nutrients that come with that reclaimed water. So check with your local municipality, find out what the nutrient level is, and just take that into consideration before you apply more fertilizer. Once you've determined that you have to fertilize, here's a few things to keep in mind. Look for the right product. You want to choose a product that's recommended by the University of Florida. Oftentimes that's going to have slow release nitrogen and maybe other nutrients in it as well. This will help to meter out that fertilizer over time and reduce the amount of potential leaching of those nutrients. Now, when you do apply, make sure, number one, that you're going to measure the area first. That's where we start. That way you're not buying too much and you'll know how much you need to purchase and apply. Next, make sure you have the right equipment. A broadcast spreader with a deflector shield is what you really need. That deflector shield will help you keep fertilizer off of hard surfaces and out of sensitive areas. And remember, if any fertilizer ends up on those hard surfaces, make sure you clean that up. Try and avoid combination products. Combination products are those things like weed and feeds or fertilizer with an insecticide. It's better to spot treat those areas rather than putting it out throughout the entire landscape. and never fertilize within 10 feet of a water body. By following these few tips, you'll keep your landscape looking beautiful, and you'll be doing your part to protect Florida's environment. Creating a garden bed is one of those things that can be a little bit intimidating, but it's really very simple if you just follow a few simple tips. One of the things you need to do is survey the area. You really need to look at what's there. Where are the sun patterns? What do you want to do with this landscape? Once you have kind of an idea where you want to have that bed, then you can take a garden hose or a rope, kind of spread it out and get a nice pleasing shape, something that works for you and your surroundings. Then you can go ahead and take some paint, go ahead and etch that line in, and then the real fun begins. You're gonna go ahead and remove that turf. Now you can do that with a shovel, you might even rent a sod cutter, or you could use a non-selective herbicide product to remove that turf. It just may take a little extra time. Once the area is all dead and ready for planting, then you wanna line your plants up. And maybe you wanna have a focal point, or maybe you wanna just have some extra plants in that area. Usually put the taller plants towards the back, shorter ones in the front. Make sure that you're planting them properly. Make sure not to put them too deep. Then go ahead and add a 2 to 3 inch layer of nice Florida-friendly organic mulch. That's kind of the finishing touch, and it really puts that wow factor to your new landscape bed. Then go ahead and water and continue to water to keep that landscape getting established properly. It's really a simple process. Don't let it intimidate you, and enjoy your landscape. Have you ever had that bad patch of grass that just drives you crazy when you walk in the front yard? The most important thing is to figure out what caused that bad patch of grass first. It's so important that you identify, is this an old problem or is this a current problem? Once you've established it's an old problem, then we can go ahead and begin repairing that area. It's really important you identify what type of grass you have. Not every grass can be planted the same way. To be honest, it doesn't matter whether you're planting from sod, seed, or plugs. We're going to prepare that area the same exact way. So what you're going to do is clean out what's there, smooth it all out, loosen the soil if it's compacted, and then we're ready to plant. If you're planting seeds, you're going to scatter the seeds out according to the label, and then you're going to cover them with a light dusting of soil. If you're planting plugs, plugs are nothing more than small pieces of sod that we put at various intervals. The further apart they are, the longer it's going to take to fill in. So adjust your spacing based upon how much space you have. The easiest way to do it is by planting sod. We fill that area completely, you'll have fewer weed problems, and you want to make sure you fill the gaps with fresh soil. You're going to want to maintain this, keep the area moist until that grass is well established, and you're going to fertilize according to University of Florida recommendations. That bad patch of grass doesn't have to drive you crazy. It's really easy to fix.
Thanks, Tom. For more information on the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, visit floridafriendlylandscaping.com.